Thank you for joining us. You are on Dobie Talk with Nemesis Kennels. And my name is Mark Tamayo. Let's talk about it. Hello, and thank you for joining us. This is Mark Tamayo from Nemesis Kennels. Today's guest is a doctor of chiropractic medicine, specializing in physical medicine and rehabilitation. He is also co-owner of Powerhouse Gym in Brewster, New York, and he is a professor of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So it's my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Paul Ciatto.
Basically the saving and the adopting of dogs and whatnot. She works for the local shelter here. Donates her time, I should say. So ended up with a pit bull as well. So, at the end of the day, to be perfectly transparent, honest, when I turned 50, I said, I want a Doberman. I want one. I want it. I'm going to be 50. I want one. I think they kind of mirror my personality to a degree. If not, people always say to me, like, that's you in a dog, Right. I get that all the time. And I did a ton of research and understood the real responsibility of what it is to own a European Doberman.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I was in Florida last week and I was in a place, and we walked in this place. This gentleman had a red Doberman.
Sure.
And tell from the minute I saw him, it wasn't European. I could just tell from the minute it was an American Doberman, and he was beautiful. Don't get me wrong, and he was big for an American Doberman. And I walked up on him, and this dog just was all over me. And I told the gentleman, I said, he smells the Doberman. He knows I'm a Dobie guy,
All right.
We were talking, and he was saying, there's a big difference. I go, yeah, no, physically there's a big difference. There's no doubt. The drive, a lot of different things.
Sure.
But just figured I'd tell you a quick little story as it was last week. But circling back, I had people contact me a lot, especially because Bane's beautiful.
Sure.
Whiskey's brother, by the way, so everyone knows, and it's the same litter. So, and my biggest pet peeve with people is understanding the responsibility of owning a European Doberman.
Mm-hmm.
You have to forget about how beautiful they are. You have to forget about how the look is great. This is a responsibility. This is a special breed.
Sure.
This breed is a protection breed, is a loyal breed. They are the fifth smartest breed on the planet. They are, they will get mischievous if they don't have tasks. You continually got to work with them. They have to become part of the tribe.
Sure.
They have to be and know that they're part of something and understand that, obviously you want to be the alpha, but it's a responsibility. And I tell a lot of these guys that reach out to me, like, dude, you cannot own a Doberman and put him in your house all day. Do you understand this? You cannot live in an apartment and have a Doberman. Okay.
Yeah.
This dog needs exercise. He needs to be run. He needs to be, you name it. I got home from work tonight. Before I got on with you, I took him for a huge walk. Okay. My neighbor down the street has an 8-month-old female German Shepherd. They went over there. They bonded, because I've socialized the heck out of Vantage, but again, even on that walk, drilling him, obedience, when he comes into contact with other dogs, there's a gentleman around my corner. He has domestic turkeys, Bane sees the turkeys. It's like, hey, they turn on.
Sure.
So if I live in
feeding time,
right. I live in suburbia. If the one thing that turns them on are deer. That's the one animal. He sees a deer, he wants you, because they're like, I tell people, the Doberman's a deer on steroids. Period.
Sure.
I said,
yeah, right.
So like he wants to chase the deer.
Yeah, and plus he has that prey drive. So
the prey again. Thank you. The prey drive is huge, no matter what it is. But specifically for my dog, deer. This dog, the deer turns him on.
You must have gave him a little venison.
Oh, you know what? He's on the raw diet, as you know. So I do eat nothing but beef and other supplements. But that's the one thing that I'm glad the deer are coming out, because it's a training situation.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've got to turn them off. I've got to make them understand you're not going to chase this deer into the woods.
Sure.
You know what I mean? This is not going to happen. So like that is a situation where it's a continual training and learning and controlling situation with a Doberman.
Yeah.
And you're the expert, not me. Just for me, That's my observations, my research. You know me, I always call you and say, hey, this is what's going on. What do you think? Hey, what do you think? I send you videos. I'm like, well, what do you think with the situation?
For sure.
And they're dominant. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? They're dominant. Bane, he doesn't. He's a lover too, but he has that switch, like we talked about. And he doesn't want to be dominated by anybody.
But the two most important things that I think I always stress with our new owners and yourself and everyone else that have experience is with these Dobermans, since they know how to turn it on, they also know how to turn it off. So those two most important commands is an out command and that recall command. And like you were saying, when he goes after the deer, or he's chasing them, you need to make sure that you have that trust and he have that, that understanding where you can give that command as a recall and have him come back, because there could be any situation, not just a deer, he can run after something,
no doubt.
And you want him to come back to you.
I have him on such the heel command with him is so strong to the point where I don't let him leave my side, unless I absolutely allow it, and I don't let him go off leash in public ever. He's big. You know what I mean? He's Whiskey's brother. He's big. For being a youngin', he's big, and now he's really maturing. His face is getting big. His head's big. His chest is,
filling out. Yep.
They're filling out. And unfortunately, you do have to deal with people that are kind of like stereotypical, that have word to use.
That stigma of the Doberman.
Yes, the stigma, which is, I got to tell you though, 9 times out of 10, most people are like, oh my God, I love these dogs. That I had one. Like that's all. Because I take my dog everywhere.
Yeah,
everywhere. And you've got people are ignorant because, as you know, there's certain rules you follow with dogs, no matter what the breed is.
Yeah.
And quick, you'll love this story. It happened about 2 weeks ago. So I was buying my daughter a piece of jewelry. So we'd ordered it. And Bane's been in the jewelry store with me 1,000 times. Bane walks in the jewelry store. Bane. He goes. He greets everybody. Well, lo and behold, this one gentleman who's never in the store before, okay, he comes around the corner and it's funny because he kind of looked like Santa Claus. No BS. He looked like Santa Claus. And he comes around the corner and he puts his hands behind his back. And Bane's like, hey, how are you? You know the energy, wagging the tail. He's looking at him. But this guy puts his hands behind his back, puffs his chest out, puts his chin down, and starts eyeballing Bane. Okay. So I'm saying to myself, does this guy realize if he was a Chihuahua, he shouldn't be doing that? You know what I mean? Like, you don't do that. So you know what? I'm watching my dog, and I see his whole body language change. Okay. So now he goes from, let me say hello to what are you looking at? Okay. And he sits down, like right in front of him, head right up at him, and all I can see is the muscles rippling in his back. Okay. And the guy keeps looking at him. So Angelina, my daughter's looking at me, and I go, okay. I shake my head. So lo and behold, Bane looks at him, and he goes, "Rrr." It wasn't an aggressive one. It was basically, who are you looking at? You know what?
Yeah.
That
was a warning growl.
Yeah. So I take Bane. I take Angelina. I go, take Bane over here. And he walks. She walks him to the other side of the store. So when the gentleman walked away, he went inside. And my wife says to me, it was the three of us. She's like, is he an idiot? I mean, like, you don't do that with our labs, let alone a Doberman. You know what I mean? Like, and it goes back to what I was saying before, is that the ignorance of people when it comes to certain breeds, because this is a huge responsibility. And what you get into them, what you get out of them, what you put in, what you're supposed to put into them is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It really is. And I've had dogs my whole life. I've never neutered my male dogs. They've always been, big and dominant and so on and so forth. And that to me is the biggest lesson people need to learn, and to circle back to the jewelry store again, we're in the jewelry store at the same time, and it's my wife, myself, my daughter, and somebody walked into the jewelry store. Bane looks at the guy, he circles, stands between my wife and my daughter, and basically that posture. Yeah. And basically let the guy know, just so you know, I'm here.
Nice.
Just body language.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when we walked out of the store, my wife said, man, I can't. You've been saying about how Bane. I go, that's what they do.
Yeah.
I said, and listen, we've only touched on that type of training.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
natural protector. He's like, this is my tribe. This is my family. I don't know who you are, but just so you know, I'm here.
Yeah.
And I think that is the beauty of the breed.
Sure. Sure.
The only true protection breed, because every other dog that's considered protection breed was a farm dog. They weren't bred for that. You know what I mean? It was they had the tendencies. They were cattle dogs. They were. Well, you go down the line, whether it was a County Corso or a Rottweiler, they weren't bred for that. The Dobermans were.
Yeah.
That's
For
why
sure.
their loyalty and love matches their drive, their dominance. To me,
Mhm.
my observations only, it's all in one level.
Yeah, and like you said, they're built for protection, right?
Right. Right.
And that's already their natural instinct to
Correct.
protect. So you need to control that.
Right.
And that comes with a lot of training. And I know you work with them every day, but you also did your due diligence in having him trained initially with that foundation work, correct?
Yeah. He went away I sent him away for 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was with my guy and who loves Dobermans. He's trained them his whole life. He loves them. Like he says, special breed. That's all he kept saying. That's all he would say about Bane. He
Mm-hmm.
goes, the Dobermans are a special breed. But his biggest thing to me was, and we had spoke about this once before, he's like, obedience is the key with this breed. He goes, in my professional opinion, he goes, obedience first.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, because what they have naturally, you don't need to massage it, Paul. He's like, there's no reason to, because then you can get a bad dog. Because if they don't understand, and then you just massage that one side of them,
Yeah.
then you don't have a beautiful Doberman anymore. But if you have a complete control of obedience and love and everything else, that protection is magnified by that.
That's right.
And when he
That's right.
said that to me, it made all the sense in the world to me. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, he's still young. So for me, he's still a teenager. He's still, he does things still that you have to correct.
Sure.
And the
Sure.
last thing that I want to do in this point of his journey is do something to massage that which is already natural. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And again, in my humble opinion, as he matures, we can work on that stuff. We can, as he continues to mature, I can work on it. We can do certain things, because the obedience is going to continue to go hand in hand with
That's right.
protection work, with bite work, whatever what I'm going to do with him, which I plan on doing all of that with him. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So, but I think it's just the maturity and the obedience that is the biggest thing right now.
Sure. Sure. And why don't you plug your trainer right now? Your trainer works out. I know you call him the
Sure.
Italian
I
dog
call it,
whisperer.
yes, he is the Italian dog whisperer, Joe Macaluso in Stormville, New York. He's just
Nice.
unbelievable, man. I can't. Like, he's just, and when a trainer's good, that every time your dog sees him,
Mm-hmm.
they think they're going to Candyland. They think it's like they see him and they love him. You know what I mean? Like, and that's going with all the tools he gives you. All the a bottle with a chain in it. Jingling a chain, like,
Sure.
all these things, all these tools he's given me to use to do certain things with him.
Yeah. Temperament testing. You're
Yes,
just building the
yes,
foundation into him.
yes, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because what I've been doing with him now a lot is basically temperament.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, a lot of temperament stuff and attitude stuff. That's the
Awesome.
main thing that I'm doing with him, because, like, I can do whatever I want with Bane because I'm the guy. You know what I mean? Like, he's with me 90% of the time. So we were talking about the dominance thing, where, like, he doesn't even like anybody in my house like standing over him. He doesn't like anyone holding his head, too tight, where he feels like he's being confined. So now we work on where basically almost submitting him to a degree, where you're rubbing his belly, he goes to his side, he goes to his back, and he basically, you're speaking to him and you're showing him, hey, dude, I'm here for you. I want you to be calm. I'm showing you love, et cetera, et cetera. And
Nice.
that playful little, like, growl that he'll do, where it's like, it's not dangerous. He's just like saying, hey, man, I'm not cool with this. You know what I mean? That's what I interpret it as. That's gone away. Because now we realize, okay, they're not trying to dominate me. These are my people.
Is that when,
for me, I could, like I said, I could do whatever I want. Like, this chooch will jump and he wants to sit on my lap. You know what I mean? This big,
right?
like, I've sent you pictures. He's sitting on my lap. Like, he jumps up on me. I'm sitting on the couch. He wants to sit on my lap, and I'm cool with it. I'm like, all right, go ahead. You know, I get this big Doberman sitting on my lap and I'm grabbing him and I'm hugging him and everything else. And he started doing everything else. Like last week when we were away, my son Cristiano had full responsibility of him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you better work him. You better train him. All the things we're talking about here, you know?
Yeah.
And
Stay consistent.
exactly. Take him with you to the gym. Take him to the store. Do not keep him crated more than the allotted time that he has to be crated.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how this works, you know?
Yeah.
And now Bane with that week is at a whole nother level with my son.
Nice.
Because he was with him the whole week. You know what I mean? The feedings, the training, the exercise, you know, living life, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
So even with what I found also, and you could probably shed some more light on this, is with the females in the house, he has become very, very affectionate
Mm-hmm.
and protective. Like
Yeah.
to a different, you know, and my trainer explained to me, he said, listen, he goes, that's a lot because he's trying to claim them for himself. He knows they're females. He can smell, he can smell their females, you know, this and that.
Sure.
And which I got, and I can understand that's some truth. But as he's maturing, it's different now. You know what I mean? Like it's different. Like he's like, these are my girls. You know what I mean? It's that's kind of what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
You know, what he's doing with the females in the house.
And it's true. It's true. You know, they pretty much take possession of the females in the house. You know, they become a little more loving or submissive sometimes.
Yes.
And letting the females do what they want to do. Normally, when he wouldn't let another male do that, you know, he shows his dominance. He shows his alpha. He shows his territorial.
Yes.
You know, with the females, sometimes they break down. You can see them break down a little and be a little more submissive. It's funny.
They're submissive, but at the same time, letting everyone know they're mine.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Basically, what I found. It's hysterical. You know?
Yeah. Now let me ask you this question. Now, again, let's get a little into your background again and tell our viewers what you do, and then we'll get into your gym.
Sure. Basically, I'm a doctor of chiropractic. I graduated in 1998 from the University of Bridgeport in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Prior to that, I did my undergraduate at LIUCW Post out on Long Island, New York. Did a little stint in law school before that. Realized that wasn't for me and got out. Took 37 credits and prerequisites in a year, and then said, okay, I applied and got in. I went that route because as an athlete, I've been an athlete my whole life. They helped me the most, to be perfectly honest with you. And it was kind of a natural calling to get there. And graduated in 1998, went to work for some wonderful guys that taught me everything I know today for about 6 months. And then I went on my own, you know, opened up multiple locations in New York and Connecticut, you know, right outside, about 40 miles outside of New York City. So we're like Putnam County and Danbury, Connecticut areas, and Brookfield as well. Been training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for, God, I can't believe I'm going to say this. It's got to be close to 20 years.
Wow. Just as long as you've been practicing medicine almost.
Yeah. It's, you know, and the funny part is that I had to take a break from it when I first got out of the school because I had no time, you know.
Sure.
I was trying to get a practice going. I was the only thing. So then I got right back into it because, you know, I don't quit anything I do. And
you got to focus.
The rest is history. And I'm actually, next November, you know, God willing, and I keep doing what I'm doing, I'll be awarded my 3rd degree. That means I've been a black belt for 9 years.
Wow.
So nice. Still competing, you know, into my 50s, teaching at my school, you know, which is inside Powerhouse Gym. And basically, the whole facility if you want to call it a wellness center, because one of my New York location, the practice is located inside of it. There's 25,000 square feet of gym space. There's 3,500 square feet of mat space. With a Foundations nutrition store inside as well. So when you walk in, it's a true wellness center, and you get all walks of life, from the young to the elderly, to amateur to professional athletes. It's a real sight to see.
Sure.
And it was a vision that I had for a long time, and you know, when I was able to purchase the gym about 7 years ago, I put it all into play. So, you know, and the rest is history.
Now, since you are pretty much at the gym at your business pretty much each day, you also take Bane there, correct?
Bane is with me pretty much every other day. And if I can do it, it's pretty much every day. And if not me, my son brings him there. You know what I mean? So I see him all the time. Depending on my patient load, and because I have multiple locations,
Hmm.
it depends on, those days of my schedules. Like pretty much Tuesdays and Thursdays are always definites because I have other associate doctors there. I can spend the whole morning with Bane. Those days he's with me from the time I get there till 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and either someone will come pick him up or they'll bring him home. And
Yeah.
then other days where he comes for the morning, but he's there a lot. And like I said, he's there a lot. Everyone there has watched him grow up between the gym clientele, the patient base,
And what do they think about him?
they love him because
Yeah.
they everyone. Again, I think the greatest compliment is his temperament. Okay.
Hmm.
And the control. Like I told you before, when he was younger, I would have him off leash in there because he's completely trained off leash as well. But now I don't. He's too
Yeah.
big. He's a big Doberman. He's a Doberman. And so when I take him into the gym, he's always on leash with me. And he knows everybody. He
Sure.
goes up, sees everybody, says hello to everybody. Everyone knows him. They call him over. When I take him inside the other side of the gym where the turf is, and you've seen me, that's when we're off leash because that's just I can close the door. He's in there. We're working. We're jumping boxes. We're
Hmm.
playing catch. We're doing commands. We're doing everything. But everyone's watched him grow up. So and over and over, people are like, I just can't believe like this dog. What a temperament. What a personality. And that's because socialization is so important. You
Yep.
know, it's so important, especially with this type of a breed of a dog. It's
Yeah.
so important, and it has to continue forever. It really does. It just doesn't. It doesn't stop. You
Sure.
know? And that's why when I was away, I had told my son, take him everywhere, everywhere.
Yep.
It has to continue. You
Sure.
know, as far as that goes. So it's people they ask, "Where's Bane?" You know, like a lot of times I'm like, "Oh, he'll be here later." Or, you missed him, or he's coming. He was here yesterday, but it's a continual question all the
Yeah,
time.
he
Where's
just
Bane?
turned 1 years old in February. He's probably a year and 6 months now.
Yep.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so he's growing. He's still mentally growing. He'll probably
Yeah.
fully develop around 2 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, he's a great size. I think he's like almost a perfect size. He's big but not too big, and
Mm-hmm.
he's husky. Like he's built. He has good strong chest structure and
Yeah.
muscles on his shoulders.
He looks like he got taller too.
Hmm.
So he's probably 27 inches at the shoulder. Last
Oh
time.
yeah,
Oh yeah. So I mean, that's the last time I measured him, and he looked taller from when I got back from Florida.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and definitely he's maturing physically. There's no doubt about it.
Sure.
And the diet, as you know, I put him on a raw diet a long time ago.
Hmm.
I do mix in the victory kibble that you told me to
Yeah,
do.
that's good stuff.
I do get
You
it.
gotta save some money, Dr. Paul. You gotta
No,
save
nice.
some money.
Listen, I do, but for him, it's like he's one of my kids, so he's gonna get whatever
Sure, sure. Get spoiled.
he gets. And his presence has gotten the other dogs that food.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know what I mean? So like it's been everyone has benefited by the presence of Bane in the Ciatto house.
I
Um,
bet.
he like my son. He's my 10-year-old lab. And at the beginning, Sonny was would love to bully him. Now it's kind of switched. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Where but Bane's like Sonny's like, all right, man, you're in charge. Just go ahead. No problem. Let me run out here and do what I got to do. Um,
Nice.
but I think one of the best things when they're outside in the backyard, my yard is completely fenced in, as you know, so they
Yep.
have free reign to do whatever they want. Um, Bane chasing butterflies.
Yep.
He's a big ass Doberman. He's tough looking dog. But one of the greatest things to watch is to watch this dog chase a damn butterfly or a dragonfly. And you could tell how happy he is. He's just so happy to be out there to chase this thing because they're
Mhm.
so athletic. They're very athletic, these dogs. So anything they can do to just be an athlete.
Sure.
Hey man, it's like Rocky Mickey making Rocky chase the chick.
Chase the
You know what I
chicken,
mean?
right?
Yeah. So it's the same thing. That's how I relate it to this because it's all right. I'm fast. Like
Yeah.
I'm here on steroids. I'm gonna be able to. I can cut. I can bob. I can dive. I can weave. And there's nothing better than a butterfly or a dragonfly to change directions in a split second. Have a Doberman chase it. You
Right.
know?
And it's so funny because when and to let our viewers know, it's so awesome when you put in the time with your dog and he pretty much is starting to get a hang of what you want from him, right?
Right.
And then he starts doing the things that you want him to do. It feels proud that you put in that time, and then your dog is doing all these tricks in front of people, and they're
Yeah.
going, "Wow, that's awesome."
You hit
But
the
they
nail
don't,
on the head.
again, like we always say, they don't know the behind the scenes of
They
all the
don't.
work that goes into it.
They do not know, and that's the thing that I was saying before. Like these people reach out to me all the time. All I got to do is put a picture up of Bane, which I do on media, DMs, text messages. Where do I get them? Where I got listen. And I know the people 9 times out
Yeah.
of 10. And to be honest, I talk them out of it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know you, dude. You can't have a Doberman.
Mhm.
What do you mean? Because you're not going to be dedicated to him. Okay. And I'm not going to hook you up with my guy, and I'll be the first one to tell him not to give you a dog.
Yeah.
So I'm being straight up with him.
Sure.
I'm like, if I refer you to Mark, it's because I know you're going to be a great owner, and I know you're going to do what's necessary. I don't refer anyone to you that I don't know are going not. They're going to do. They need to do exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Or they're not going to be referred to you.
Put in
Period.
the time, the love, and
Yeah.
all that energy that you put in. Yep.
Exactly. It's like, you're not buying a sports car that you can wax and put in the garage and use at your leisure. You're buying a member of your family. You're buying a high drive, highly intelligent dog that needs to be part of something all the time.
Sure.
And that's the mistake people make.
Yeah, and really you're doing a disservice to the dog, just
Yes.
sitting on the dog, because the dog can't reach his full potential if you're
No.
not going to do anything with him,
Oh,
And then they complain later down the line that, my dog doesn't do this or do that. Well, you didn't spend any time with him. You didn't
correct.
do the right things by him.
Correct.
You didn't feed him correctly, or, or exercise him correctly, and then they complain down the line. So he gives him little treats.
Sure.
But he stuck his hand out in front of him, and I said, hey, man, I don't recommend you sticking your hands in front of dog's face.
Nope.
If you don't know the dog, let them sniff you first.
That's right.
And get comfortable around you.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe you can, be able to give them a treat. But normally you would have to take the treat from me and then feed them, because our dogs do food refusal.
Yep.
So even if someone tries to give them food, they won't even take it.
No, they won't touch it. I noticed, I've sent you videos. He will not touch the food.
Yeah.
In the morning when I'm feeding him at 5 o'clock in the morning, I make him sit. And
Yep.
I'm no. And he looks, he's drooling. Okay. And then I pet him, but same thing with a treat.
Yeah.
I do the same thing you do when I'm in the gym, and I show people how to do it. And I'm like, I'll give them the treat, and they go, you need to do exactly how I do it.
Mm-hmm.
Sit, make him go down, hold it in front of his face, tell him no.
Yeah.
And he will not touch it until you tell him okay. Okay. And that's, again, everyone, like you said, everyone around you needs to understand what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
On top of it being a gretter responsibility because of what a Doberman is, I don't care what breed dog it is. That's what it should be.
Sure.
Yep.
It's good. It's just, good relationships with the dog, because again, any dog can be ferocious or aggressive towards, if they don't know their surroundings or haven't been environmentally trained for that situation. Right. Absolutely. So, I always recommend that, even though you have a great yard, and people send me that, during our questionnaires,
sure.
That's great. But I want you to be out socializing your dog and doing these things, because if you keep your dog and train them in the backyard all the time,
no good.
When they finally get out of the backyard to do this, out in the environment, they don't know how to react.
Well, they don't know how to handle the energy.
That's right.
Where guys bring in, like I always say, bring your dog and let him meet Bane when they come to the gym.
Uh-huh.
Then they bring him in, and the dog is so turned on by all the stimulus because they never leave your house.
Yep.
You got them on your property in your house. They have never seen other dogs, other people. They don't know what a car is driving by. They don't know the sounds. They don't know what life is.
Sure.
So like you do a huge disservice to any dog when you do that. Okay. So to me, that is one of the greatest, mistakes that you can make with any breed of dog. But especially when you have the Dobermans, which we love, there's no choice. You have to do the thing. You have. Right. You can't. They're not house dogs, man. I'm sorry.
That's right.
They're not. They are. That part of being a house, part of being in the home to live with you is part of it. But they need to be part of society.
That's right.
They are not built for that. They're not. And that's the problem with anybody. But again, when you any of these any breeds, bully breeds, whatever you want to call them, it's special, man.
Hmm.
You just get these dogs because you like the look.
Now, let me ask you this.
You know, like
Now, we're talking about, referrals and things like that. There's a lot of clients that I deal with that, have a lot of questions, right? And they
Sure.
ask me about the breed and what it takes to be responsible. I don't recommend this to, this type of dog to a first time owner if they've never experienced any type of ownership of a dog, right?
Heck no.
Now, if you have experience with any other type of working dog and what it takes, the responsibility,
Hmm.
somewhat of the liability that goes into these dogs.
Of
So
course.
with your experience with that and you did your research, when you were going to look out, and find Adobe, what steered you in the direction of Nemesis Kennels and how did you
Basically,
find this?
your whole presentation, the way you obviously your dogs are beautiful.
Hmm.
Bane's parents, Artemis and Polydeuce. I mean, they're beautiful. Uh, just the way everything that your social media presence
Yeah.
brought me to you, and then when we communicated, that's really what was the icing on the cake. Just how you handle business and how you deal with a potential client, um, and the open door policy throughout, and the continued.
Yeah.
To me, that's what makes Nemesis Kennels different from everyone else.
Yeah, because I think when we initially talked, I think we talked for maybe 2, 3 months
Yes,
prior to even getting the dog.
of
And
course.
you would call me. You would call
Yeah,
me, and we would talk on the phone.
yeah, yeah. No,
Right?
the open door policy that you have,
Yeah.
and I hadn't even had acquired Bane yet.
Yeah,
And
and I think, you know, doing business in a long distance relationship, you have to have trust,
of course,
right?
yeah,
So for me, I want to make sure that, when I'm dealing with a client or a new owner, I want to put that, that trust in them because, I just want to help you have a comfortable experience and basically, get all the information and pump you with all the information that is acquired, to learn, in order to have this dog. And if you're not ready, come back, and we'll talk about a puppy. But the last thing I want to do is put a puppy in with an inexperienced owner,
of
and I
course.
think that's why I just want to make sure that it's clear to all our viewers that trust is very essential when dealing with a breeder and an owner.
Yes, trust is paramount, and understanding and being educated. And the minute you stop trying to learn,
Hmm.
you lose.
Sure.
Oof, you forgot more about Dobermans than I'll ever know. And the fact that that people lose sight of that, you know, because every month the dog gets older, he changes.
Hmm.
So there's certain things like, oh wow, that wasn't going on a month ago. I can pick the phone up and say, hey, Mark, what's going on with that? You know,
Sure.
is this part of the process? Part of what? Yeah, of course. Well, you could say, hey, mate, you need to get him to the trainer. I mean, whatever whatever the case may be. Um, and that to me is the most important thing.
Yeah.
You like everything I do with passion, and I do with a lot of intensity.
Yep.
So it's when again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but when you don't understand the breed and don't understand what it takes, and
Yeah.
don't understand the responsibility of owning this gorgeous dog, what it is.
Sure. Sure.
And that really is the process here, because I know they look good, man.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
you know, what's more stunning than a European Doberman? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I don't mean to sound biased, but I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But you're not buying a look, man. You're buying a true canine machine.
Yeah.
You know
For
what I mean?
sure.
And
For
that's
sure.
that's what people need to know.
Food raw. Yeah. What type of raw food do you guys actually feed Bane?
I have a local gentleman who's
Hmm.
name's Kevin Willis. He's awesome. He's big bill. He's a big Malinois guy.
Okay. Nice.
Oh yeah, so he's got a really nice one. I see it all the time. Um, and he's another very passionate guy. You give your dog kibble, you're poisoning the dog. Don't
Yeah.
give like
We give them
don't
that
go like
processed stuff.
yes, like and again I respect and admire
Sure.
him. Um, the Bane likes both chicken and beef, but more
Hmm.
or less I have kept him strictly on beef.
Nice.
Um, salmon oil,
Yep.
the greens I put in there for his joints and everything else. Um,
Nice.
quercetin I give him. Um, I use listen. You told me get victory kibble. I sprinkle
Yeah.
that in there on all his feedings too. Um, so natural treats. Uh,
Nice. And
plenty
the
of
and the reason why I'm asking because a lot of times when people like to go raw,
Yeah.
They don't understand, what
Well,
type of raw that you can actually give them.
yeah, these are patties.
Yeah.
These are real chicken and beef patties. It's not that bag of processed stuff. This is the real stuff, bone marrow, the whole
Yeah.
nine. Like,
Yeah.
and if you remember, my trainer, he had Bane, and Bane, after I dropped him after 4 days, started limping.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Those
Yeah,
growing
because
spurts.
growing pains.
Mhm.
So this guy is so awesome. He never called me. So next thing you know, on week 5, I'm like, hey, what's going on? He goes, everything's good. He goes, well, I'm going to keep him another week. I said, well, what happened? He goes, well, I really couldn't go hard with him because I don't. He goes 4 days after you dropped him off, he was limping.
Yeah.
So he changed his food completely. He put him on the algae supplement. He put him on the salmon oil. He
Nice.
changed. And at the time, Bane was on kibble. He changed to a kibble that he researched that it was gonna help with the inflammation and the growing and this and that.
Hmm.
And then it was when we got back, we did the research about the raw, and we said, you know what, we're gonna go raw with them.
Nice.
Even
Nice.
enhance more, and the rest has been history. So again, it was a trial and error type of thing. You
Sure.
would advise me, hey, great. When I spoke to you about it, hey, listen, either or, great.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
And like I said, being on the raw, I can definitely see a difference compared to other dogs. His coat, his musculature, everything about him.
Hmm.
People are like, wow, you can really tell it. I get him the beef bones, that I reward him with every so often. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I want him wearing his teeth out on the darn things, like
No,
we
no, no.
out. Yeah,
They
so they'll
gnaw
have
'em down.
one every day. You know what I mean? If you give
Yeah.
it to them.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. So, but there is definitely again a difference from being a longtime dog owner who
Yeah.
has basically normally fed his dogs kibble, you know, feeding this dog with complete raw diet.
Yeah. You
What
can see the
what
difference.
a
Yep.
difference! And my pit bull, she dropped almost 20 pounds once
Hmm.
I put her on the raw and she was a little heavy. She was an 85-pound pit bull,
Uh-huh.
female, not a small one. When we rescued her, the SOBs that had her first, she got hit by a car and never had her treated right. So she has like a little limp in the front
Yep.
leg.
Hmm.
When she runs, you never know. But, it was like, listen, we got to get some weight off her because when she gets older, it's not going to be good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And let me tell you, the raw diet took all that weight off. All that,
Nice. Nice.
you know?
Yes, you were
So
telling me
there
about
is
that.
that.
Yeah, chicken quarters is awesome because it promotes the neck muscle, the jaw muscles, when they're chawing on that raw bone.
Yep.
And they love it, and sometimes, on their birthday, I give them a big, T-bone steak,
Sure.
so
I've
yeah, so they can do that, again, hamburger meat, turkey meat, you can add all that good stuff in there, like
Yeah.
you said, the patties and things like that. So it promotes good health. For us, we do a transition half and half, because a lot of times we send our dogs to board and train, like and some trainers are not going to feed them that regiment. Oh yeah, there
No,
you
I thought,
go.
so you guys see, Bane has his own freezer.
Yes.
I can here are the patties.
Oh, there you go.
So look, see, like these are the beef patties that
Is that from a local butcher?
it's from Raw Essentials.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't see it, but it's from Kevin Willis.
Uh-huh.
They come freeze dried in the
Nice. And they're
So
sent to the home?
I pick them up. They're
Oh, okay.
literally. I go to his house. He has them in a freezer outside.
Uh-huh.
It's Venmo. He leaves them outside for you, and
Nice, nice.
it's that simple. So, but like I said, Bane has his own freezer. So it's literally like so there it is. That's
Yeah,
it.
awesome. Yeah, we
Nothing.
we have this we have the same freezer, but in white.
Yeah. We basically, when we went this route, I had to get a whole other freezer because the other dogs have raw too as well, and but perfect example, man.
Yeah.
You take on a Doberman, take on the responsibility, and
That's right.
So
And especially, it all goes into love. If you're really, spending time and you want to connect with your dog and put that energy, put all that time in them, you got to spend some money.
yes,
You got to buy the right food. You got to exercise
yeah,
them. So that makes you get out and exercise. With your structure, and your lifestyle, you're very active. So I think Bane is getting like the perfect amount, of
yeah,
balance, through all that, and I always say, number one is always love, that
of
bond
course.
that you have with your dog, it's undeniable, basically,
Yes,
you know.
indeed.
So,
And every one of my family can put him in the car and he goes with them and he's, the commands and the love and everything the same. And I made sure that from the beginning because, can Dobermans tend to be one master dogs? Yes. Okay.
Yep.
I made sure that wasn't the case with Bane. Now, I said earlier in our talk here, am I the guy with him when it comes down to it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But everyone else gets the same respect from him because they put the time, and I was very, very adamant about that with everybody because listen, man, I can't have it when he's not with me, that he's not going to be the same. So you have to be the same with him. You have to bond with him. The bonding is the biggest thing.
Yep. So at this time, Dr. Paul, I just want to, thank you for taking some time out. You're a very busy guy, and letting our viewers know your perspective on, the European Doberman and your experience, and hopefully, if we can help one viewer out there, be a better owner, and hopefully some breeders can take some tips off this and be a better breeder. Answer more questions and be more transparent. Breeders, we want to promote the breed in the right manner.
Absolutely.
So, and that comes with, selecting the right owners and not just selling it to anyone. So we got to ensure, that we're doing, the best thing, all around.
I couldn't agree with you more. Like I said earlier, I only send people to you that I know are going to be proper owners, but they don't get referred.
Yeah. So again, if you're out in the Connecticut, area or New York, go check out Dr. Paul Ciatto.
You can nitrobjj.com, POWERHOUSEGymBrewster.com, and then my practice is physicalmedicineandrehab.com. So you can check me out on all those things, and please feel free to send me a question on any topic matter, anything health and fitness, anything you want to hear. My experiences on with Nemesis Kennels, which are the best in the business, period.
Appreciate it.
They're the best. See them. And that and any of my experience that I'm having while I'm learning and going through my journey with my Doberman, my European Doberman.
Nice.
There's a difference between the American and the European. They different. Working dog, different.
That's right. Well, again, thank you so much for your time, and we appreciate it. You have a good evening.
You as well, my friend. We'll talk soon.
Thank you so much.
I'm a OD boy. Know that they ride or die. I keep boys by my